news and programming to inform, educate, and entertain. As a result, iRadio's content has reached over 17 million people on Facebook, according to Facebook metrics for the last 3 years, a number larger than the population of South Sudan. Thank you for your continued feedback. For detailed news analysis, please check iRadio's website, www.iradio.org, and subscribe to or like iRadio's YouTube channel to get all our latest videos. iRadio, your eye on South Sudan.
This is a message of peace. We all are South Sudanese. It does not matter where anyone comes from. We need to respect each other and support each other because we are one.
Live from Juba, on air and online.
This is iRadio News.
Hello, good morning. This is iRadio News. First, here are the headlines. President Salva Kiir has called on the newly appointed government officials to prioritize peace, uphold the rule of law, and implement institutional reforms as part of efforts to stabilize and develop the country. The Ministerial Economic Cluster has approved the release of 72 billion South Sudan pounds to support preparations for the upcoming farming season as part of a 3-month action plan for the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. And the National Undersecretary of Peace Building has called for continuous adoption in peace efforts amid the rapid growth of artificial intelligence and social media, warning that modern dynamics pose new challenges to national stability, particularly during elections. These stories and more coming to in this news bulletin with me, Lasuba Memo, and now the news in detail. President Salva Kiir has called on the newly appointed government officials to prioritize peace, uphold the rule of law, and implement institutional reforms as part of efforts to stabilize and develop the country. The president made the call during the swearing-in ceremony of the newly appointed officials on Wednesday, where he emphasized the need for disciplined leadership, accountability, and strict adherence to the rule of law to ensure citizens live and work in peace. Among those sworn in at the national level were Aliyu Ayeng Aliyu as Minister of Interior, Ezekiel Laurel Gatquoth as Minister of Public Service and Human Resources Development, Anthony Lino Makana as Minister of Labor, and Sarah Nyanath Elijah Nyong as Minister of Culture, Museums and National Heritage. At the state level, President also sworn in Madang Majok Min as Governor of Lake State and Deng Akwe Kak as Deputy Governor of Upper Nile State. The President directed the Minister of Interior to reorganize the police force to effectively enforce the rule of law and curb criminality, enabling citizens to carry out their daily activities freely and safely. He further tasked the Minister of Labor with ensuring the protection of labor rights for hardworking citizens, while urging the Minister of Public Service and Human Resources Development to accelerate reforms in the public service so that deserving employees receive their benefits and recognition. The President also charged the Governor of Lake State with maintaining the prevailing security and stability, adding that peace is critical to national cohesion and development. The Ministerial Economic Cluster has approved the release of 72 billion South Sudan pounds to support preparations for the upcoming farming season as part of a 3-month action plan for the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. The decision was reached during the cluster's ordinary sitting held on Wednesday, chaired by Dr. James Wani-Iga. The funding request was presented by the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Hussein Abdelbagia, called and will be tabled before the Council of Ministers for final approval. During the meeting, the Economic Cluster also listened to a briefing by the Minister of Lands, Housing and Urban Development, Michael Chanjek Gay, who presented key priority areas and activities of his ministry. In a press statement, the Deputy Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Lily Albino Cole, said the cluster further passed a report presented by the Minister of Finance and Planning, Dr. Bak Barnaba Chol, which focused on economic recovery, fiscal discipline, and macroeconomic stabilization. Lilia Cole added that the meeting successfully passed 3 agenda items and underscored the importance of economic clusters deliberations in strengthening the country's economic management and food security efforts. The National Undersecretary of Peace Building has called for continuous adoption in peace efforts amid the rapid growth of artificial intelligence and social media, warning that modern dynamics pose new challenges to national stability, particularly during elections. Pierre Philippe made the remarks on Wednesday during the launch of a peace hub in Central Equatorial State, where he stressed the need for peace builders to constantly update their approaches in response to fast-changing technologies that influence public discourse and political engagement. He noted that while some countries resort to internet shutdowns during elections to prevent unrest, South Sudan must explore ways to maintain online access while promoting peaceful political participation. Philip described the newly launched Peace Hub as a long-term project envisioned to grow into a regional center for peace building similar to Ghana's Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center. He said the facility could serve not only South Sudan but the wider East African region in addressing conflict-related challenges. He further appealed to the Central Equatorial State government to support the Ministry of Peace Building in completing the project, emphasizing that peace in South Sudan can be nurtured through Central Equatoria. Addressing political leaders and stakeholders, Philip warned that the upcoming elections present both an opportunity for peace and a risk of instability if not managed responsibly. He urged political actors and citizens alike to adopt peaceful approaches to political activities and help create a conducive environment for credible and peaceful elections. He added that peace building is a shared responsibility and called on all South Sudanese to play their part in fostering lasting peace, saying that development and national aspirations can only thrive in a peaceful environment. This is iRadio Morning News, and now to the international scene. Nigeria's police have now confirmed that a group of worshippers was kidnapped from 3 churches in a remote part of the northern Kaduna state after previously denying it. More than 2 days after the raid on the Kurmin Wali village, police on Tuesday night said that an earlier statement denying the attack had been widely misinterpreted. Local residents told the BBC that 177 worshippers had been abducted, but that 11 later escaped. Police spokesperson Benjamin Hundeyen did not give any numbers, but said subsequent checks by operational units and intelligence sources had confirmed the abduction. He said security forces had been fully deployed to the area and that search and rescue operations and patrols were underway. President Donald Trump says the U.S. is exploring a potential deal on Greenland after talks with NATO as he backed off threats to tariff European allies that had opposed his plans for America to acquire the island. On social media, Trump offered few details about a meeting that both he and NATO described as very productive. After rattling the transatlantic alliance with weeks of rhetoric, the U.S. president said the discussion had led to the framework of a potential agreement, but there was no suggestion of a deal that might meet Trump's demand for ownership of Greenland, an ambition he restated at the World Economic Forum in Switzerland, where he also ruled out military force. This is iRadio Morning News, and to end this bulletin, here's a recap of the headlines. President Salva Kiir has called on the newly appointed government officials to prioritize peace, uphold the rule of law, and implement institutional reforms as part of efforts to stabilize and develop the country. The Ministerial Economic Cluster has approved the release of 72 billion South Sudan pounds to support preparations for the upcoming farming season as part of a 3-month action plan for the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. And the National Undersecretary of Peace Building has called for continuous adoption in peace efforts amid the rapid growth of artificial intelligence and social media, warning that modern dynamics pose new challenges to national stability, particularly during elections. That's the end of our Radio Morning News. If there is a story or an event you'd like our radio to cover or report about, please send us a text message at +211 925 287 It's also a WhatsApp number. Follow us on X at iRadio Juba, like our Facebook page iRadio, subscribe to our YouTube channel at iRadio South Sudan. You can also visit our website and listen to us online at www.iradio.org. Stay tuned for the news